Reverend Nathaniel W. Martin. Here's Reverend Martin.
Thank you, Dr. Blackwell. Let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but certainly never good night and never ever goodbye, because I hated goodbyes from childhood. That's a personal thing. My name is, I already said Reverend Nathaniel Martin, and I am the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles for the last 48 years. And the name of this offering that we are presenting to you right now is entitled It's Time, and it's more of a recognition of the social justice needs, social justice activism that you and all of us must be a part of, especially in this nascent days of the 21st century. We have already been, well, let me read the scripture first, then I'll start talking. Deuteronomy chapter 15, picking up the reading at verse 12, says, "And if thy brother, an Hebrew man or an Hebrew woman, be sold unto thee, and serve thee 6 years, then in the 7th year thou shalt let them go free from thee. And when thou sendest them out free from thee, thou shalt not let them go away empty, but thou shalt liberally furnish them, out of thy floor, and out of thy flock, and out of thy winepress, of that wherewith the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, thou shalt give unto them." First principle is that if someone is in that condition of slavery, God says they're not to be in that perpetually. 6 years, the 7th year, you're get ready for a release. Set them go free, and you don't push them out the way the formerly enslaved were pushed off the plantation following the end of the Civil War, penniless, jobless, most of them homeless, nowhere to go, no food to eat, no credit, no employment, and most of them separated from their families and the like, while they were put in a terrible state. And of course, the defeated Confederates were only too happy to begin exploiting this weakness, survival weakness in the formerly enslaved. And they wound up going back into a worse form of slavery than that which the Civil War had been fought to release them from. And before you say, well, the Civil War wasn't fought for slavery, you're right. For the first 2 years, it was not. It was white man's only war fought to save the Union. But the last 2 years, beginning in the fall of 1862, Abraham Lincoln decided that he must have the lever of emancipation, as he defined it in other letters that he sent to critics. You need the lever of emancipation in order to deprive the South of their labor force. A point of all that being that nobody is supposed to be sent away penniless, homeless, and the like, because that is a recipe, that is a prescription, that is a sentence almost of death being decreed upon a person. We are to help one another. The Bible is full of those type of admonitions and teachings and anecdotes and warnings that we are not to do to our brothers as the white supremacists in America did unto the newly freed slaves, the formerly enslaved, as the Ta-Nehisi Coates directs us to pronounce that. I started out almost by saying that I was somewhat distressed and somewhat saddened to hear that Curtis Jackson whom we know as 50 Cent, has overwhelmingly and quite emphatically and with great alacrity endorsed Donald Trump. And of course, his statement is that, which I can't repeat that on this broadcast anyway, but his statement to the essence was that I don't care if Donald Trump don't like black folks. 62%, which is what he says that Joe Biden tax plan is going to cost him, 62% of his wealth, and he's not going to put up with that. Now, he's made all his money right here in America, off a lot of white folks and off a lot of black folks as well, but he don't want to pay his taxes, which is, I guess that's why he's backing Donald Trump for president, because Trump is a shield for all of the super uber rich in the nation and in the world. Come to find out that they still have billions of dollars offshore in these different bank accounts. And one of the fellows that I like, who is a billionaire, by the way, Dr. Robert Smith, who promised and who forgave all of the tuition debt, graduation debt for the graduating class at Morehouse about a year or so ago, that even he himself got caught up in the hiding the income from the tax man. And so but they cracked down on him. They didn't crack down on none of these others, but they cracked down on Robert Smith. He had to pay up $139 million and agreed to relinquish another $182 million in charity contribution, which I guess when you got that money like that, you don't worry about it like that. But anyway, Robert Smith, I'm speaking of, has paid his taxes. Donald Trump has not paid any of his taxes. And the wealthiest 1% in the United States are doing their best to get all of the military protection and all of the police protection and all that the law can provide for them, but they don't want to pay a dollar's worth of taxes, which means that those taxes are falling on you and upon myself. And we are the ones that are supporting the country, supporting the nation. But I felt that it was very telling that these rap stars, these hip hoppers, they make their money here, and they are very influential on the minds of our young people, especially our young white brothers and sisters, and our black children as well. But when push comes to shove, they do not want to side with the people. They want to side with the dollar, with the Benjamins. And I think our young people who like these hip-hop stars and who aspire to be hip-hop star, or if they don't aspire to be a star, they aspire to that lifestyle, and they follow those lyrics and all of that. I think you ought to give them pause in so much adulation and idolatry that they heap upon these hip-hop people, because like I said, when push comes to shove, when the rubber meets the road, they're not on the side of the people that are buying those records. They're on the side of the producers and of the corporate capitalists. They don't want to be identified, in other words, with the people that buy their records. They want to be identified with Donald Trump and that ilk. And I think the young people need to realize that they don't have a friend in these hip-hoppers. No, you don't have a friend in these hip-hoppers. That with them is strictly business. They put that lyrics and those records, as they say, we drop something, they drop it and you pick it up because they make money. They make bank. They make Benjamins off of that. They drop a t-shirt, or they drop a shoe, or as they say, they drop a cap, all of that stuff, and you out there straining and stressing yourself, how can I afford these t-shirts, and you coming up with it, doing all kind of things to get it, and these people have no more regard for you than they have for a fly on their wig. And I think it's time for somebody to say something about this, because it is appalling. It is a betrayal of trust. It is a betrayal of trust. And if you look at some of the pictures that Mr. 50 Cent put out, all his pictures are about betraying folks. And so young people, don't feel bad because you're being betrayed by such a lackluster star as 50 Cent. What you got to do is get you some Jesus in your heart and some Jesus in your mind, and get you some education so that you too can get out there and make some of that big money, because there's plenty of money out there to be made, and it don't all have to be made illegal. You can make your money legally. But I'm getting off of what I wanted to talk about, really, but just such a sad situation. We are a few days now from November 3rd. This is, I think today is October let me see now, let me not guess what the date is. Today is October 23rd. And so that means we are 10 days away from the voting. And so far in the state of California, according to this professor out of Florida who's been crunching the numbers, the state of California, 5,802,511 absentee ballots have already been turned in. Now that's a little over half, because over 10 million absentee voter ballots were requested, but only 5,802,000 so far have been returned. And before you get too happy about that, the population of the state of California is over 40 million. Over 40 million. And but only up to date about 5,802,511 have cast their ballots. So you compare 40 million to 5 million, and you know that we have a long way to go to get more people registered to vote in the state of California. And we need to vote because voting is a sacred act. If voting didn't matter, then why did the white folks object to the Negroes having the right to vote coming out of the Civil War? That was one of the things they fought the hardest. They called it to deny the suffrage, or the right to vote, to the newly freed, the formerly enslaved. And so we have not a paradox, you have a contradiction. If voting didn't matter, they wouldn't fight so hard to keep you from voting. If voting did not matter in the state of Wisconsin and all like that, they wouldn't be trying all of these various stratagems to block the vote. Why in the state of Texas, the Governor Abbott, God rest his soul, he's not there, but God rest his soul anyway, has only allowed one ballot box for a whole county, per county in the state of Texas. That means all the ballots from all of the counties, individual counties, can only go to that one ballot box location. And I think the mayor of Houston has defied the governor, and he's going to maintain the 12 ballot box precincts across Houston. Harris County is a big county, and he's going to butt heads with the governor of the state of Texas over those ballot box location. And one can see a scenario where the governor will say, well, if the votes are not in this one ballot box that I have set up, then the ballots are discounted. And so you can see a challenge going all the way up to the Supreme Court. So let us pray for our brothers and our sisters in the state of Texas. Although Texas has always been a red state, there is some purple coming in there. Help me, somebody. And so that's why your voting is important. Your voting helps determine your representation in the Congress. It helps determine who gets to vote on who is on the Supreme Court. We can forget about the Supreme Court for the next 50-odd years unless Clarence Thomas or some of them others up there should drop dead or retire, because the Republican Party has stacked the court, and they'll have now 6 conservatives, because this woman is going to be confirmed, and they will have a 6-3 majority on the U.S. Supreme Court, which means any progressive case that comes is going to get shot down. Any employment discrimination case that comes before the U.S. Supreme Court is going to get shot down. Any wage differential case that comes before the Supreme Court is going to get shot down, because it is an extremely activist court. Even though they swore up and down they did not want an activist court, but from Rehnquist on, they have been a very activist court. Why George Bush would not be president if it hadn't been for that activist court there that selected George Bush for president. And but all of these things are affected by you. There are 40 million people in the state of California, but only 15 million are registered. And so you can see that you got a whole lot of people in the state of California that ain't voting. And sadly to say, a lot of our Latinx brothers and sisters and our black brothers and sisters are not registering. And you're not registering 40 million. If you can move from 15 million to 20 million or 30 million, you could change the whole makeup of this state of California. But fortunately, we do have a good governor, a progressive-minded governor, got a good mayor in the city of Los Angeles. But when you look at our DA and how the police treat us, well, you see there's great room for some representation in these Congresses and in these state legislatures that would impact the immunity from prosecution that these police officers get. And that comes from your voting. Your voice scares a politician. Your voice scares a policeman. When you raise your voice and are forceful about it, and like Holly Mitchell telling Villanueva that he got to reform that sheriff's department here in the city of Los Angeles, in the county of Los Angeles, those words have meaning because you got voters representing people behind her. If voting wasn't important, why did they kill George Jackson or George Lee? They killed George Jackson there in his home there, and because he was becoming too activist and drawing the people together to campaign against the way that they were being treated there in Chicago. And George Lee there in the state of Mississippi was killed because he was daring to register people to vote, because those sheriffs know that Negroes didn't vote for them. All those Southern congresspersons that handled the GI Bill and handled the Federal Housing Administration and handled Social Security, those people wouldn't have been there if the Negroes had been allowed to vote. John Rankin and Theodore Bilbo and James Eastland and Stennis and the Helms brothers and all of those other rednecks. Yes, rednecks, that's what they was. They were dyed in the wool, fire-eating rednecks who hated Negroes. They wanted the Negro in one place. They followed that old false teaching about the inferiority of the African people and the superiority of the European folk. Well, they believed that. But if the Africans had been able to vote, well, those people never would have been there in the Congress. And that is why there was so much lynching and so much murder and so much fear and intimidation of the people who came to the courthouse to vote, to register to vote. So if you register to vote, you ain't going to be able to get no credit at the store, and the man going to put you off the plantation, and you ain't going to get no job. All of that type of intimidation was used to keep the people from registering to vote. And why was that? If voting was not important. And so it is a fallacy. It is a myth. I don't care who said it. Ice Cube used to say it. Farrakhan used to say it. Now they've changed that tune, thank God. In the latter years, that Farrakhan has seen the fallacy of his ways and recognized that if we want to get things done, we got to get people on the various legislative bodies and council bodies and school board bodies and all these other types of commissions and bodies that make the codes and all the other type of terms that are used for laws, for legislation. You got to get your people in there. If you want a better day, you got to put the better day man, a better day woman in that office. And we got to make some demands. We got to get some agreements with them before they get in there. And then when they do get in there, we cannot go back home and breathe a sigh of relief. We got to put their foot to the fire. We would have got more out of President Barack Obama, as good as he was, if we had asked him for something. But we didn't ask him for anything, and we got nothing. You must not just let the man go in there and shut the door, because the DACA people, they went in and they got what they wanted. The LGBT and all that other alphabet went in there and they got what they wanted. But the Congressional Black Caucus or none other Black Enterprise, none of those people were able to get what they wanted. Even the poor people in Flint were not able to get anything out of the Obama White House because it started too late in making demands. You have to demand what you want from a politician, hold our feet to the fire. And we cannot go anymore by, I'm just so glad to see somebody look like me sitting up in that White House. That don't matter. It don't matter. One of the greatest presidents of my lifetime was not Barack Obama. It was Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson got the job done. He got the Voting Rights Act signed. He got the Civil Rights Bill signed. He got the Fair Housing Administration bill signed. He got Medicare going. The reason why he got Medicare now is because a white boy named Lyndon B. Johnson. He pushed it through because he could twist the arms. He could tell those senators and those Congress people, look, if you want that bridge in your state, you better support my Civil Rights Act. If you want that fine building in your state, you better support this Voting Rights Act. If you want that grand highway or whatever coming through that, then you better sign this Fair Housing Administration bill. He got it done. These other fellas, they had no power. He was the greatest, as far as I can see, in my lifetime. He was the greatest. Next president, next to Abraham Lincoln, because he finished the job Abraham Lincoln was supposed to have done. And now it is for the rest of us. Yes, sir. 5 minutes, y'all. It is for the mop-up work is for us to finish. We finally have stopped talking about white culture. Ain't no white culture. There's no white culture, no white American culture. If any white man got it, he stole it. All of his mannerisms and all of that, they have nothing. If a Negro grunt, the white man got it in the morning. Tell me. Take my word for it. There is no white American culture. They don't have it. They only have is white supremacy. They have white supremacy, and we have been the victims of it and been subjected to it. Don't let nobody tell you, well, you don't look at yourself as a victim. Yeah, we've been victimized in all of our institutions. That's why you call it institutionalized racism, but now we call it systemic racism because it's an entire system of attitudes and norms and practices and policies that have affected the way we live and what we pay for the things we got to have, and what kind of schools we go to, and all of that. And so it's time for us to finish the work that the pioneers and those that have furthered this task have done. You don't need no slackers on the line. One of the easiest things you can do is fill out an absentee ballot, vote on an absentee ballot, and or else go down to the polls and vote. That's one of the least things you can do. But many times it's one of the greatest things that you can do, besides supporting your candidate of your choice and letting them know, look, I'm putting my money up here and my vote up here, and I'm expecting you to bring the bills, bring me the bean, bring me some advantages. Continue to pray for our frontline workers, whether they be doctors or nurses aides or nurses assistants or physicians assistants or anesthesiologists, that whole medical staff. Everybody needs you to lift them up in prayer. Even them that don't believe in God, pray for them too. Because we must pray that their strength and their health will hold up, and that their minds they won't get burned out, and that they will have compassion upon their brothers and their sisters. God knows, I know we can be some ornery people when we go to see the doctor or the hospital. But we need to lift him up in prayer, as well as all of our people who are working in these supermarkets, driving these trucks, all of our people who cannot work from home, which is the bulk of us. The bulk of the work gets done by people who can't work at home. You can't deliver mail at home. You can't deliver packages at home. You got to be on the job. And so let us lift them up in prayer. Continue going to your church, because you need your strength, your prayer power, your fellowship, and your communion. You may not be able to do it in these great numbers like the man tried to do down there in Sunderland or wherever he was, and got into a lot of trouble because they have too many people in one place. But you got to continue to come together to pray. You need that. You need to see each other. I need to hear you pray for me, and you need to hear me pray for you. If you don't hear me call your name, you still need to know that I'm praying. And if we all pray together, then God can move, or God will move. And so as we wrap up, again, with all of this distress that is going on in the nation, and especially here in the state of California, pray for our brothers and sisters, because the CDC has given the green light to the landlords to begin eviction. There's going to be a lot of sadness coming up Thanksgiving, a lot of sadness Christmas, a lot of sadness for New Year's, and we are going to have to foot that bill. We can't put people out in the street with nowhere to go and no hope, little children and all like that. As I always say, if you're working on these jobs and they don't want you to get no full-time job, they want you working part-time. They won't let you work a 40-hour week. They won't tell you when to come in anytime. When they tell you they really don't want to work, don't want to pay you. And listen, if they don't want to pay you, if they don't want to treat you right, take it from Reverend Martin, who have labored for many years. If they don't want to pay you, child, don't work for them. God bless you. May God keep you. Thank you, Doc. We're out of here. Sing, Bruce.
So much pain.
All right, boy.